Here we go. So, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you getting on. We had just to hit this. First of all, if you are a guest with us from another company, welcome. This is primarily EXP Freedom Team. We're about coming up on 3,000 agents now, all across the country. Yep, all 50 states and 8 countries now. Including the U.S. So. Growing, expanding all over the place, but we do this every Tuesday. It's open to everybody. If you are an EXP agent, you're always welcome to invite guests to this. This is no EXP pitch whatsoever. It's just value add for agents. Just trying to help. EXP offers.
Yeah, I know, no.
What? Watch your mics there. I'm going to mute you there, Scott, real quick. So we do this every week. EXP has what 80, 90 hours a week of live training that they do in EXP world, which is really, really good. If you ever, if you have not been in those classes, I would tell you guys, be sure to go in there and check out the calendar. You can see it in Enterprise. You can also see it on Workplace. Different places you can find that, but the schedule for the week, I just tell people look through those classes because just phenomenal classes, really on a daily basis. And so, really, really good stuff. But Freedom Team, we do this multiple times a week. This one here on Tuesdays is geared towards production and just ways to help you guys. And I like this format with Zoom. We can all interact and ask questions and mastermind a little bit, in different ways than what we do in EXP world. So, last minute change of plans. Sean Richardson was set to do this today, and anyway, he Sunday night they had a house fire. I guess I don't know if it was a storm, but he had a fire in his attic. Very little fire damage, very little smoke damage, but the water damage from the fire department went all the way from the attic through the top floor, down through the main floor, down into the basement. And they're moving out for 6 months because they got a lot of repairs to do in the house from water. So anyway, Sean called me yesterday and said, "Man, there's no way. I've got to reschedule. We can move me out to July or August, but I don't even have access to a computer right now, and I get it." So anyway, I reached out to a few people and talked to Jason Kay. Jason has how long you been with EXP now? 2019, is that right, Jason?
18.
18. Okay, so 5 years, whatever, and sold a lot of homes, 115 million in volume, a little bit over that, whatever. 35 patents from your days before real estate.
Yep.
A success coach, with Success Magazine, Success Enterprises. So he's certified with them, but he also trains in EXP world and has trained for us before, whatever. So called up Jason to see if he'd be able to come in and pinch hit for Sean, and he was like, absolutely. And so I appreciate you doing this. It's last minute, and so
Absolutely.
anyway, but I know a lot of us could do things. There's a lot we could probably all train on if we really dig into it. We've all got things that we do that we've learned from, things that work, things that didn't work the way we wanted them to, mistakes we've made. I've made plenty in 21 years. Hello. So anyway, but Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you take it and we'll dive into this. I know it's there's a lot going on in the market, and you mentioned yesterday. Let's talk about buyer. Getting buyers off the fence and handling buyers and stuff, which I think we could all benefit from any of this kind of talk. So anyway, so again, watch your mics. Okay. We do hear everything in the background. So I've got everybody muted, but if you have a question, you could certainly unmute yourself or put it in the chat, whatever. We'll definitely get those questions answered, but the more you can participate in this, the better this will be always. So if you can turn your cameras, definitely helps. So, Jason, go ahead, man. Take it away. Thank you.
So I know you all work with buyers as well as sellers out there. This is definitely going to be buyer centric. I don't have any prepared slides. This isn't going to be a lecture. So if you want to just sit back and listen, this really isn't going to be a good class for you today. So the main thing I want you to do is take a moment, think about what your buyer challenges are that you have right now, and let's work through them. Let's role play them, because I know here where I am in Central Colorado, I go a mile one way or change price bands, and I have completely different market conditions and need to deal with the buyers differently. So I can only imagine what's going on in your neck of the woods with the different buyers you have and the different price points. So let's work this through together. Who's got a challenge right now that they want to role play and try to work out?
or challenge you see in the market with buyers? What would keep buyers from moving forward right now?
And if no one says anything or comes up with anything in the next minute or so, I'm going to start calling on people and putting them on the hot seat.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Jason, this is Angie Lopez from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And
Yep.
one of the things I'm seeing is my buyers are not looking. I mean, they're pre-qualified, they're sitting on the fence.
Okay.
I'm wondering if it's the rates, pricing, not quite, I mean, that I have several that I'm looking on my board now, and
Mhm.
they look at things, they see listings, they say they're interested. I'll say, when do you want to go look? And a lot of times they're just not looking right now.
Okay.
So
So they're getting listings, but they're not actually going out to see the properties at this point.
yes. Mhm.
Have you asked them point blank what's keeping them back from going out and looking? Because it sounds like it's happened a couple of times. You could do it via text or email, if not a phone
Mhm.
call.
Yeah, I have, and one of them says work schedule, and I know he works probably 60 hours or more a week, but
Okay.
I've offered to do evening showings, anytime he's off.
Mhm.
And I think they're just hesitant because a lot of people keep telling me they think prices are gonna go down, and I'm like, okay, it's holding. We've seen some price reductions, but those are properties that are overpriced.
Yep.
Or overpriced, I think, for the market, because people still think they can elevate that price and get the multiple offers, and we're
Yep.
still dealing with a little bit of fallout from that. Other than just, and some people are ghosting us after they've gotten pre-qualified or pre-approved.
Yep.
And are other people experiencing the same thing in their markets?
I'm having the same issue you are having, Angie. Same issue. People ghosting me. People saying, well, we're gonna wait. Interest rates might come down, prices might come down on homes. What if this, what if that? And just it's just hard to, corral them in and get them focused again.
It definitely is a challenge. A lot of buyers have COVID burnout. I had several buyers who go, I'm not going in on multiple bids. The lower end of the market that we have here in Boulder, there is no inventory. We're talking less than a week of inventory in the lowest end of the market. The middle luxury has by far the most inventory, and it seems to be inflating the average price because that's what's moving, but that's not realistic. So part of what I've been doing is educating my clients. Been calling them one-on-one, as well as sending out monthly newsletters on, hey, this is what we're seeing. I just showed, actually for someone on our team, I showed a property a couple of weeks ago. There were 7 or 8 offers on it. Now, I've seen a couple of multiple bids where there's 2 or 3, but I've never seen that many. And that property went for $75,000 over asking. Like, okay, the bottom of the market's still really hot. Something else, when I do get someone on the phone, is, all right, what do you think is going to happen with the interest rates? Have you been listening to what the Fed's been saying? It's like, well, yeah, they're supposed to increase rates. I go, okay, what's that going to do for your affordability short term? Like, well, that's not good, but it's going to come down later. I go, well, if you find the perfect home and buy it and can afford it, would you refinance? That right there is a mind shift. That one question is, would you refinance if rates go lower if you find the perfect home and buy it today? That's one thing that will get people that will go, okay, yeah. Because what I'm hearing lenders say, and lots of people, is you marry the house, but you're dating the rate, because the rate's going to be transitory. It will probably come down in a year or 2 or 3. I was guessing rates would be going up for years before they finally did. I don't know when it's going to happen. No one does. If we did, we're going to make fortunes. So you could say that point blank. Lots of people are guessing that the stock market's going to come down. They're hedging bets against it. They're doing all sorts of things. So far, it's been bucking the trend. The other thing that I do that really helps is, hey, here's the historical data. Here's what happened during the housing crash in 07 or 08. In our market, we went down 0.5% per year for 3 years. What do you think is going to likely happen given what's going on? Now, I'm not making the prediction. I'm giving them information and allowing them to help figure things out. You know, our market really doesn't and hasn't gone down since the 80s. Is it going to crash again? I don't know. But based on the data I'm seeing, probably not. And going through and basically having a data-driven, here are the numbers. Here's the numbers from MLS. By the way, here's the numbers from Altos, which does it weekly. That can be huge. You know, also interpreting those numbers for some of the people coming in, for some of your clients, that's also huge, because if they're seeing, oh, well, this is coming down, the market's crashing. No, this is coming down because we're not having the number of sales because we don't have as much inventory. You know, one of my favorite things that I like to trot out is, hey, Boulder area typically has about 600 single family homes for sale at any given point in time. This week, we're at 152 homes for sale. During our COVID lows, we were at 48. You know, earlier this year, we were at 90 and 92. That was like back in January and February. Like, yeah, inventory is growing, but we're still vastly inventory constricted. And hey, let's look at the price band that you're looking at, because that's going to be a very different story than the market as a whole. You know, for us, that the very high-end luxury market is still growing like bananas, and it's blowing my mind. The near luxury, where people need to pull money out of the stock market or get mortgages to be able to afford, that's suffering the most. That we're actually seeing a slight price decline, but our overall market's up 4% from the beginning of the year. So just putting out that information really will help quell fears. Some of it can just be a newsletter you send out. Some of it could be a phone call. If you know someone who has that deadline, such as, hey, I'm leasing and my lease is up. I need to move out of my current home August 1st. Hey, let's see if we can find something for you. You know, the biggest challenge I'm having is inventory, because if people aren't seeing something that they really like, they're like, just, I'm not spending that much to get something I don't even really love. And that's really hard to overcome. That I can understand. Been there, done that myself. I moved a year ago and I sold my home in February. Actually, we sold our home in December. We moved out in February of last year, and we didn't find our new home until June. So that was quite a few months of being homeless. You know, both my wife and I are realtors. We know better, and we still fell into that trap. Is our current home ideal? No, not even close. Would we like to change a lot of things in it? Get a 2-car garage, slightly more space? Absolutely. Being a realtor, I'm still looking. I see nothing out there, nothing even close. You know, prices have gone up, affordability has gone down. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. Acknowledge those challenges and then give ways to overcome them. You know, Gene Frederick has said this for the last 6 months. Get to know your lenders really, really well. Be married to them. Be attached at the hip. When you do your buyer consult, and you really, really, really need to do a buyer consult, bring your lender with you. Have them on the phone if you're doing it virtually, because your lender is going to explain, hey, what just happened with Freddie and Fannie? What's going to change with affordability? What's different out there? You know, hey, things are getting tighter, but does that mean it's harder to borrow? You know, it depends on the person. It depends on their situation. As a realtor, I don't really want to know their financial situation. I just want to know, what price can you buy? And that's what we'll stop looking at, you know, that level. The lender will actually go through and get them more comfortable with what's going on. And have a couple of different lenders in your pocket. I've got 3. One is an absolute specialist, because I live in a university town, dealing with university staff and students. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. It's great. I can't tell you how many clients I've had who are employees, grad students at the university. It's a quarter of my population. I've had parents come in that go, hey, great, I want to buy an Airbnb. I'm like, okay, we have some very specific rules around Airbnb. Let me explain to you what they are and how we can work around it. See if you're interested. I had one guy, he was from California, so he wanted it his way and he's not buying. I'm okay with that. I've had another person whose parents were looking to buy and they're like, yeah, I think we can do this. So this is where you have to get creative. And if you haven't done a buyer consult with someone, I know I've taught classes on that in the past. I've taught them in the world, go look for them. It's never too late to do a buyer consult. And I've taken over a client from someone on our team and I went, hey, listen, I know you're working with so-and-so. I know you've bought a lot of homes in the area. I just want to meet with you and explain how we will work together and what's changed in the market. So it's never too late to start over. And the phrase is marrying the house and dating the rate. And that goes back to working with your lenders. So great question. Who else has questions?
Can I throw out a couple things, Jason?
Sure, please.
Just a thought. One of the things, Angie, and again, we've had over the years, 21 years, we've had lots of times where buyers are on the fence. One of the things that we've done that has worked well sometimes is you get a buyer, even that they're like, you get a lead that comes in and maybe they're local. We'll try and meet with them, but even if we're over the phone and, we're going to set up a home search for them, just start sending them some properties. And yeah, we're probably looking sometime, we're probably 6-8 months away, whatever, but just want to get set up now, that kind of stuff. One of the things that we've done, and this doesn't always work, but we'll say, how about if we, here's what I want you to do. Pick out 3 homes and let's set a time, maybe this weekend or next weekend, and let's just go look at those 3 homes. I know you're not buying right now. I know you're not going to buy these homes, but let's just take an hour, hour and a half and go look at these 3 homes. And I want you to point out to me what you like and what you don't like. I want to hone in on your search. I don't want to send you 100 properties that you really have no interest in. Waste of time for you. I don't want to do that. I want to send you exactly what you're looking for. I don't want to miss out on the home that could be perfect for you because we don't have the home search set up properly. Let's go look at 3 homes. And all I want to do is we're going to go walk around. You're going to tell me what you like and don't like. And we're going to take all that and we're going to hone in on your search to send you exactly what you're looking for. Would that be, would you be open to doing that? Sure, we'll go look. So we go do that. Well, now all of a sudden, this happens many times, they get excited about it. You're able to have a good conversation about the market and about the rates and about pricing, how pricing is not going down. It's going up, not as fast as it was 3 years ago, but it's still going up because there is no inventory. What drives prices down when you got more homes to sell than there are buyers for them? There's no inventory right now. Supply and demand, that's going to keep the prices going up. Not as fast, but they're still going up. So, you start having these conversations while you're looking at those homes. Next thing you know, they turn into they were 8 months from buying. They want to buy right now. And I've had that happen multiple times where all of a sudden now they get excited because they start seeing homes, whatever. It puts a little fire in them, but you're able to have those conversations. The other thing I would just put out there, and I don't know if you guys, we have subscribed now for probably the last year to Keeping Current Matters. And just to put that out there, every Monday they do what's called it's a weekly deep dive, they call it. And I'm going to share my screen here real fast because just to see this. So these are the slides. They just do this was a 21-minute webinar. It's just geared towards the agents. This came out last week. Here's the slides they used. A lot of time I will watch this almost every week. And sometimes I'll download all the slides. Sometimes I'll just, take a screenshot of 2 or 3 of these and I've got them on my phone. Ones that I know I could get into conversations with out there. And one of the things right now, like here's like this one, like prices, everybody, I'm waiting for the prices to drop. I'm waiting for the prices to crash. That's what buyers are thinking right now, because they keep hearing these headlines. Well, here's the truth of it, whatever. This is what's been going on. Prices are going up. Not as fast as they were maybe back here, but they're still going up, because of supply and demand. You can start having some of this data and pulling off, some of these slides and different things, have them on your phone, all different things on interest rates, charts, graphs, pricing, number of listings on the market, all this kind of stuff. And it just gives you tools to really educate the people that you're meeting with. Stuff that you could do in that buyer consult that Jason's talking about. Show them some of these kind of things to just educate them on the market, because The problem right now is if they're just reading the headlines and listening to the headlines, they're completely misinformed, yeah, on the truth of what's going on. And that's why they're sitting back right now, waiting on interest rates, waiting on prices to drop, waiting on the foreclosure wave. We're not going to see a foreclosure wave.
No.
You know, we're not. I mean, whatever, 2008, 2009, what, 9 million, 11 million foreclosures? The first quarter of this year, we had like, I don't know, 80,000 or something. We're nowhere near anything like what happened back then. But buyers are thinking that this is what's going to happen. So why buy now? I'll rent for another year. Well, then you show them statistics on rentals and what landlords are looking to do. Prices are going to keep going up there. Whereas you can lock in a price here, a monthly price here by buying a home. And the rates, they're still not that bad. There's conversations you can have. Keeping Current Matters has those slides. I like it, but as you sit down and meet with those people and maybe go out and show them a few homes, to hone in on their search, which is good to do anyway, but now they get excited and come off the fence. So it's just one quick thing. I just want to throw that up.
No, it's a great thing. It's something I definitely do. I do it a lot with engineers, accountants, high SCs, if you speak disc, the scaredy cats. It's like, okay, let me take you out and show you what the process is going to look like when we look for a home. And no, you're not going to be able to buy this one. I'm not going to let you. So you're taking it off the plate. It removes the pressure. I still have reload clients coming in. And these are people who have raised their hand going, I'm going to buy this weekend. And are they converting as fast or as easily as they used to? No. You need to have these types of conversations, though. One of the things I do, and I'm going to share my screen real fast, is there's this group called Altos. And you could plug in any zip code you want, any city you want, and it will show you data. Median, how much things are moving, what they look like, your various price points. They actually break out the price bands. So what I like to see is this dial right here. Is it going up? Is it going down? Well, look at where our condos are in the lower price points. Much hotter, much more a seller's market than a buyer's market. We're cooling off because the buyers are looking at it and going, I'm not seeing what I like. I mean, is our median list price of 1.9 million our actual median price of homes in the area? God, no, not even close. Nor is 1.4. We're closer to like 1.1, 1.2 for a median home in this area. But what you can show is, look at how many homes are currently for sale. Look at what's happening with the rent. Look at what's happening with the inventory. Hey, we're up to 248. Still a far cry from 600. So this is how you can build the story where it's not you saying something, it's you're showing the data, and that data is telling the story and you're giving the interpretation.
That's awesome.
And definitely, if you can get someone to go out with you, that will get them excited.
Yeah. Do you pay for that, or is that just
Nope.
a free?
It's free.
Altos. I've never heard of that.
Altos.com. He does weekly updates to the data, monthly webinars. He gets something like 3,000 or 5,000 people on a webinar per week.
Wow.
So don't show up late if you want to get on the webinar, because it does fill up and you'll get locked out. I'll put it in the chat.
I think it said altos.re as I was looking at your when you were on there.
I'll just cut and paste the whole thing and delete out the tail. Okay. So what other questions do we have? Because I can keep on going down this rabbit hole if you guys really want. But there's so much more out there.
I think just showing them the data, backing up what you're telling them, or basically asking them the question rather than telling them, asking them the question, trying to find out where the stumbling block is, and then showing them the data to say, look, it doesn't look to me like rates are going to come down anytime soon. It doesn't look like prices are going to come down anytime soon. So what are we waiting for?
That works well. It really depends on the personality types that you're dealing with. what I like to do is if I have someone who's chatty or analytical, I go, okay, we're at roughly a quarter or less of inventory we typically have. If you had an interest rate of 3% and it would actually cost you more money to downsize, would you? No. It's like, why give up the space? Why go through the pain of moving? It's like, okay, so what's that going to do to additional inventory coming on? Well, that's going to reduce it. Great. Okay, let's do this another way. Let's say you lose your job, you've got this home. Do you think it's going to go into foreclosure, considering that the average price has gone up 10, 20, 30%, 50%? Know the data in your market over the last 3 years. Well, no, it's like you could refi, pull the money out, you could tap into your home equity line of credit. You don't even have to sell it in order to stay. So there are a lot of market forces right now that are driving people to stay put. Among other things, I've heard people say, hey, I'm not moving until I find something I like. Okay. Some of these people, I've been talking to them for 4 or 5 years now. They're not making any noises like they want to move anytime soon. What's that going to do to inventory? Well, if no one's willing to move, they're not going to put their home up for sale. What do you think is going to happen? There's going to be fewer homes for sale. Okay, what do you think that's going to mean? So asking those types of questions where where the end is in sight that you want to go, but setting up a series of questions to help guide your clients so they can understand not what's just happening in the market. Because frankly, I don't care what's happening in the national real estate market if I'm selling a mid-price home in Boulder. I want to know what's going on in that neighborhood at that price point at this point in time. And that's key because, as I showed you, the lower priced homes are condos in our area. If you can find one for sale, they're going quick. They're not sticking around. There's not that many of them. We're way under on where we should be for number of homes for sale right now. I have an investor right now who wants to buy for his daughter for the beginning of the fall semester. We started looking in January. He goes, I have literally seen 2 homes that potentially could work, and they're both hard no's. I'm not going to be able to make him buy anything. I know what's out there. I know what he's looking for. I know it exists. It's not a hen's tooth. I literally haven't seen it come up yet. So that's going to keep someone on the fence. Now, as soon as it pops, you better believe he's getting a phone call, a text, and an email from me, and probably several of those in the same day. And it's like, hey, I need to get over there. Let's set up a video call. I know you're in California. I'm in Colorado. Let's make this work, because how many of these have you seen? But part of that is I know what he's looking for. So I'm looking at his searches as they come through and scanning them. Takes me a minute and a half every morning. He's the type of person where I'm actually pulling everything that's for sale on the market that's even close to what he's looking for and sending it to him every week, just to make sure for him on his request that he's not missing anything. And he's watching the inventory grow at a minuscule pace. He goes, I thought you said the market was going to start doing blah, blah, blah. I go, typically this time of year, yeah, that's when the students sell their homes that have graduated. Well, a lot of them are holding on to them and renting them, or they're going into grad school, so they're not selling. The market has shifted from what it normally does. So, question in the chat box: how to keep buyers motivated when they have put in multiple offers over list and still are not winning the offer bid? What I typically do with that situation is I challenge them. The first thing that I do is, typically for winning the bid, the big thing is calling the agent and go, what are your sellers looking for? Some are looking for a quick close, some are looking for a lease back, some are looking for an easy transaction. So how do you get into that where you're not necessarily the highest, but you're doing everything they're looking for? The next thing is having a good rapport with the other agent, because that matters. Coming off as being a professional is super important. Here in Colorado, we have a whole bunch of forms that go in with the contract, which is how we make our offers. So it's not just the contract, it's the seller's disclosure. It's the pre-qualification letter if they're getting a loan. If they're paying cash, it's proof of funds letter. It's all the little pieces of paper, all ticked and tied. Here it is, one nice little bundle ready for you. Make the other agent's life as easy as possible versus having to chase you for things. Is it a little bit more work? Yeah. But it has to get done anyway, so might as well do it up front and make it work for you. One of my favorite things with the negotiations on this is knowing there's multiple bids. Great. How many? Is it 1 or 2? Is it 7? All right. You don't really know. You put in a deadline. Everyone's going to be making their offer within an hour of deadline. How many interested parties are there? You know, some agents will tell you, some won't. I've had agents even tell me what they're looking for. So I went, hey, great. You're looking for 35,000 over ask. Talk to my clients about that. They go, good, do 37 and have them accept the offer within 2 hours. We effectively shut down their deadline. So I've actually asked in the past, how is your deadline hard, or are you going to accept offers ahead of time? That's super critical. Another one that I really, really, really love to do is instead of waiving inspection rights, because that's basically saying, hey, we're buying the house or we're not. Hey, there's foundation issues, we're walking. It's like, you know, you're going to have to fix these foundation issues if there are there, or sewer issues, or whatever it is, if it's big. One of the last deals I had close a couple of weeks ago, we got a really low price on the house. We were the only ones on. It was fantastic. They kept saying no inspection. I went, listen, we're only going to ask for major issues that would basically cause damage to the home or inability to close because of a mortgage issue. Well, came back, the circuit breaker, main circuit breaker for the house, for the feed coming in off the wire, off the street, was over temping. The house was all electric heat, electric appliances, electric stove, electric dryer. You turn all those on in winter and it's in a cold spot. So yeah, they'll all be running at the same time and you could potentially burn the house down. I brought it up and they're like, what are you looking for? We're like, just fix it. I'm like, I don't care if you replace the whole box or not, just fix the issue. It could be as simple as tightening a screw. But I'm leaving that up to you. And they went, really? That's great. I think it cost them $165 in one circuit breaker. Now, in other cases, when there are multiple bids, what we've gone in and done is we've put in a minimum price to fix per item. Could be $1,000, could be $2,500. $5,000 is, you know, you're looking at only a handful of things that will be over $5,000. A new roof, new sewer line, things like that. So if you put in, we will limit our inspection asks per item to nothing under $1,000 or $5,000. And this is something I've talked with my clients. They're like, yeah, we're all for that. We've beaten out people who have waived inspection rights. Because if there's an issue with a house, we're giving you a chance to fix it versus canceling the contract. And now you're sitting on the house for another month or 2 or 3 or 4 while you're getting it fixed. It's a very, very powerful thing that you can do in that terms of negotiation. For the agents, I'll call them. If it's like 6, 7 offers, I know they're not going to pick up. And I'll tell them, I'm like, hey, I know this is a super hot property. It's a really low price. You've got to have a ton of stuff. I'm going to text as well. Let me know how you want to communicate. And then I'll text the same thing. But I'm looking for specific information on what's going to help us get that unfair advantage to win the bid. Does it work all the time? No. But I'll tell you what, out of the last 7 buyers I've had from COVID till now, I think I've gone no more than 2 offers before they've been accepted. And that was only on a couple of people. Most people have won it straight out of the box. We were not always the highest offer. It's not always cash. Find out what the seller wants. Great question. What else?
Good stuff.
I'm going to randomly pick someone. Jakeem, can you unmute your mic and ask a question?
Joaquin. Is it Joaquin?
Hey, Jason. For me, I think the biggest issue, and I have a lot of people in my sphere that are kind of inbound leads after I've spoken to them. And when I refer them to my lending partner, I think because they're in my generation and they're first-time home buyers, they're, I guess, afraid to speak to a lender.
Okay.
So I definitely like your idea of having a buyer consult with the lender with me, because it almost feels like I'm accompanying them to the lender. But yeah, how would you approach that?
So the first question I'd ask is, are you pre-qualified? And when they say no, it's like, okay, great. We really need you to get pre-qualified. I will be there with you if you want to help ask questions you might not think of. If you want more privacy, that's okay. I don't need to be there. But the last thing I want to have happen is have you walk into a Mercedes dealership, fall in love with a car, and then realize you can't afford anything in the dealership and you have to go down the street to the Ford dealership. Doing that sort of analogy helps put them into perspective on how key and critical it is to understand where their price points are. The other thing that I like to say is, hey, listen, there are a lot of different lenders out there with access to different programs. Not all of them have access to the same program. So if for any reason you don't like what one of the lenders says, we have backups. We can go to others. And my suggestion is, let's talk to more than one lender to see what different programs they offer.
Okay.
Jakeem, do your buyers live in the area or bank in the area?
They live in the area,
Okay.
Longmont, Boulder.
Okay.
And I've gotten a few in conversation with my lender, and they've been very good conversations, but then they don't necessarily fill out the application, or they're just kind of, again, waiting. And I think it's mostly the market conditions and everything they hear in the news that make them think that they should wait longer when it comes to interest rates going down and all that. So,
Okay. What I would do, especially in this case, is I would ask the lender to sit with them and help them fill out the application. Literally hold their hand. And, it might be painful, but ask them, hey, do you want me there too? Because some of them will say yes, some of them will say no, but you want to give them that helping hand. And in addition to that helping hand, it's also get them to the point of, hey, listen, let's make this real. Because a lot of people right now are afraid. They're afraid their job's going to go away. They're afraid it's going to be a recession. They're afraid rates are going to go down. They're afraid home prices are going to go down. This is when we have to show them the data that, yes, there's a lot of fear out there. The news especially is making that more so. But also it's like, let's look at the data. What's really happening? Because I can tell you, especially in Boulder, what's happening in that 1.8 to $2.5 million range is not what's happening at the $500,000 or $900,000 price range. It is a completely different market. That 1.8 range, yeah, they're starting to see some price declines. It's starting to come down a little. But those lower price points, those are actually going up. And go into MLS, pull the monthly sheet, show them what's happening, either on Zoom or in person, print them out, bring an iPad or your laptop and connect to the Wi-Fi when you meet with them and show them what's going on in the market. And I like to do this at the very least, with my active buyers, who are the ones that I'm saying are like, if they find the right home, they're going to go out about once a quarter. I give them an update on what's going on in their sector, in the area that they're looking on, what's happening. Now, in a lot of cases, it's very similar, so I can reuse it. But that will also show them, hey, this is and I'll say point blank, based on where we are right now, if nothing changes, this is how much more it will cost you if you wait.
Yeah.
Something else I like to say is, okay, where are you living right now? As long as it's not my parents' house, it's like they're renting. Okay. Well, how much does your rent cost you a month? Okay. When you move out of your rental, does your landlord give you any equity back? Yeah, no. Okay. It's like, well, if you buy a home, even if the market goes down and you sell it, you're going to get equity back out of it, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's do an analysis and see what the difference on cost of living is. How much will it cost for you to wait? This is assuming that they can find a home that's actually available.
Yeah. And I think the one takeaway, the key takeaway I'm getting from your answer is really, well, I need to work on question-based selling, because people figuring things out is so much more memorable than me telling them something. And a mixture of the question-based selling with showing them, with hard data or a slide like from Keeping Current Matters, it just sticks so much more than just me telling them all the data and telling them all those things. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And it very much works best as questions. If you're sending an email, yeah, it's like, here's what the market is. This is what it means. But if you can have a conversation with someone, turn it, instead of this is what the market is doing, what do you think that means?
Yeah.
Because if they author it, they own it. And that becomes very powerful. That's a huge motivator. That really helps getting people off the fence. And the ugly truth is right now, there are a lot of people that are going, I can't afford this anymore. I can't afford what I initially thought last year or 2 years ago. I can't buy here anymore, especially at the lower end of the market. So we need to have a bigger database. We have to have a bigger funnel because we're going to have more dropout. But if you're good, if you practice, if you have enough, your numbers can actually go up in this market versus going down. And I have seen several agents increase their sales this year over last. Not many, but a couple.
If I could throw out too, I think what it reminds me of, Jason, I think we did this one other time when you trained, but I shared that slide that, and again, it would need to be adjusted a little bit now because it's a different market, but Joaquin, just to share this, my wife and I had a gathering here at our house around Christmas time, before Christmas, with a bunch of our clients and stuff. And there were some people that were sitting at our dining room table out here, and I got talking to them, and they were renting, and they were considering to renew their lease for another year because of the interest rates. That was, again, this is 6-7 months ago, and I showed them this right here. And I know, Jason, you use this. But the talk on rates, because here's the thing, I think, what buyers really care about so much, it's not so much the rate, it's, can I afford the monthly payment?
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes I remind them, like, what's your interest rate if you're renting? 100%. It's not 6%, it's not 4%, it's 100%. And so this is going back, take this back to December. I'm sitting down at the dining room table, and I pulled up this slide that I had seen, So 6 months ago, listing price 450. Today it's 450. The sale price 500 because the competing offers. The sale price, it was going down back then. I think now we're starting to see these again, more on the list price and even a little higher. We're seeing that again.
Yep.
10% down, 10% down. The 4.5% rate. Okay, today 6.5% rate. Here's the monthly payment 6 months ago. Here's that monthly payment today. It's a $25 difference in the payment.
Yeah.
Even though the rate is 2% different, and I think sometimes when you just, again, it's part of that education process for for buyers and just helping them to understand the rates and what that really means, because what they really care about is that monthly payment and can I afford it? And not to push somebody into something that they can't do. Obviously, we don't want to do that, but they don't understand that. They think that their payment's going to be, way up here now, when really reality of it, it's, and again, what are you paying for rent right now?
The other
So-
piece with this is when you're negotiating with your clients on what your offer should be, and they're going, well, I'm pre-approved to 500, but I really don't want to go above 425, and the home's listed at 400, and it's going to sell at 450 because that's what it should be. Go through, do the math, and what's that extra $25,000 at today's rates cost? Have the monthly number, then divide it by 30, and this is the daily number. This is something that I teach in my class, because what's that extra $5,000 cost? What's the extra $20,000 cost? 30,000, is that your daily Starbucks of 488 a day? Can you give that up, have the coffee at home instead? So it's having that kind of question where you break it down to, hey, we're talking, it's $50 a month more. What can you do for $50? Can you go out for dinner anymore? Get a couple of drinks? So these are the types of questions, when you put it into that kind of perspective, it all of a sudden is like, oh my God, it's not $20,000 or $10,000, which is a lot of money. It's, okay, this is what it is. Let's break it down into, do you get your newspaper delivered? So
$4 a day. It's $3 a day. It's
taking something that's scary and making it where it's like, this really isn't that much money is huge. Now, my last closing I had, this is a repeat buyer. He graduated college. Actually, he was a grad student when I sold him his first place 3 years ago. And we just closed just before I went on my vacation a couple weeks ago. Really nice guy, techie. I mean, I showed him one house, and we walked in, and him and his wife absolutely loved it. The reason why I showed him only one house was there was only one house he was interested in. They've been looking for 6 months, and 3 months before they called me and said, hey, we're thinking of buying a home. And we're walking through the house. The house had been on the market for 2 weeks at this point, and there were no offers. And I'm chatting with them, and I'm like, we could get this house under ask. He's like, that's great. And we're talking, they're falling in love. I go, and they're like, all right, so what should we offer? I didn't tell them what to offer. I asked them a question. I go, all right, here's my first question. If we're negotiating on the price of the house and someone steals it out from under you, how angry would you be? And they're like, extremely pissed off. Again, this is a techie guy. He's a computer person. So I knew his personality, basically engineer, codes. I'm like, all right. I'm like, so we have a choice. I could save you $25,000 potentially, which is $50 a month. I'm like, can you go out for dinner for $50? They're like, no, maybe to McDonald's, but no. And then it's, okay, now what? He's like, well, if we put in a full price, you're based on commission, you make more money. I go, yes, I do. Let me show you how much more it is based on that. And I did the math, and I turned the calculator around and went, how much more money did I make selling you a second home versus increasing the price here? The difference was like $180 of commission. And he's like, okay. I go, I make a lot more money when you refer all your friends to me to buy a home than by me increasing the price. I go, I want to make sure you're happy and that you get the home that you love and that you understand the risks if we start negotiating. I go, some people love to negotiate. I go, I've worked with you. I know you're very risk adverse. What do you want to do? And he's like, will we be able to get the home under price? I go, absolutely. He goes, not worth the risk, full price offer. Would I have done that personally? No, I would have negotiated. But I knew he was that risk adverse, and that's what we needed to do. So in this case, I'm negotiating with my client, and I knew what type of personality he was. He's not a gambler. He likes things with the least amount of risk. So that's the option that I presented in addition to something else. I know what he was going to choose before we did it. Does that help?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I got my buddies a home because I knew they were high D, and I told them, and they wanted this place, and we only looked at two places.
Perfect.
And I had a similar conversation, but I did not break down the numbers as to how much they would save per month, and that's super helpful when it comes to just quenching the fears that they have. But a lot of my buyers also look at just the overall price of the home. They shop around looking at 800,000, 900, and it's really not the way you should shop. You should get in conversation with the lender and see how much you need to put down and what your monthly payment is. But yeah.
Absolutely, because HOA will really eat into that.
Yeah.
Single family homes can have HOAs, especially here. So what's included in that is their trash, is their water. Being here in Colorado, water is super expensive, especially if you have a big lawn and you're watering it. I know people that are dropping $400, $500, $1,000, $2,000 on their water bills. You know, it's like, guys, you know, start thinking about this when you're calculating out that monthly cost. Really depends on what you're doing. So one of my favorite things to do is you're renting. What's your current rent right now? $2,500 a month. Okay. Let's see if we just take that rent and turn it into a mortgage payment. How much can you buy? Becomes very powerful motivator because, okay, how long are you going to rent? How long are you going to wait for the market to improve? Oh, so you want to compete with more buyers again. There's a lot of fun stuff out there that you can do, and it's all very situational. I've been doing this for 10 years, and let me tell you, my first sale, I was awful. I took the buyer out. I showed them 127 homes over 9 months. The inventory changed over twice in that entire time in that town. 35 of my last 37 buyer sides I've taken out once. So it kind of gives you an idea. I mean, I've had a client, I took them out once. We were under contract, getting ready to close. The house was on a well and the well wasn't producing. I mean, we're talking, you're going to need to put in a cistern and the well will be able to half fill it. And probably if you guys have kids, you're going to need to truck water in to fill the cistern. They were like, well, I don't know. Then the water testing came back and there was all sorts of radiologics in the water, which that became a hard no. It's like, cancel, we're out of here. So showed them another home, got them under contract and moved on from there. But the whole point of this is know your clients, know what they're looking for. Because if you don't know what they're looking for, they might not know what they're looking for. You know, how many of you think that this is an iterative process or can be? By the way, that's a script that I use with my buyers. I give them permission to change their mind. Because you go out and you see a home and you go, oh, I want a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. Oh my God, this place is enormous. I don't want to clean this much. That's okay. But you need to have those questions. The more questions you can ask, the more you can control the conversation. Someone asks me a question, I go, great. I'll give them the answer and I'll respond. I'll end the answer with a question because now I've just taken control of the conversation and I can direct them. More importantly, I learn things about them. I learn things, what they're looking for, how they think, how they process, because that will help me get them off the fence.
My question for you is, how did you get so good at question-based selling? Did you practice or did it come with experience and iteration, like you said?
The first breakthrough was taking an NLP class, that neuro-linguistic programming. Because if you study NLP, if you've taken classes on it, and it wasn't cheap, I think it was like a $4,000 or $5,000 class 8 years ago. It was 18 weeks. I mean, I was dedicated to this. That was the biggest breakthrough. The next thing that really helped was understanding DISC and taking several classes on, it was actually DISC-based hiring, but that translated directly into understanding my buyers. Because, you know, if you have a high SC versus a high D, you can't interact with them the same way. You won't have good results, either one or the other or both. If you're acting as a high I and you've got a high D and a high SC, you're going to alienate both of them. So high Ds, get right to the point. Ask 3-4 questions. The last question is, anything else I need to know? No. Okay, this is what you want. Here's the summary. Yes. Good. You know, it's like men looking for genes. Find genes, hunt gene, kill gene, drag gene home. That's what a high D wants. They want simple, fast, easy. That's why I love shopping with my wife, because that's exactly what she does. It's not a sport for her. High I's, they care more about the neighbors and the neighborhood than the actual house. S's, security, they're nesting. And that's my 1-minute warning that just dinged. I have a call that I actually need to jump on. So is this useful for you guys? You get some nuggets out of it at least?
Thanks so much.
Good stuff.
All
For
right.
sure. Yes, thank you all for participating. Thank you all for your questions and your input. Jason, thank you so much for jumping in last minute. Totally
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Okay.
So I just put my email in the chat box. Feel free to drop me any questions you guys think of, and have a great day.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. We're always here to help. Reach out to any of us, Freedom Team. You can put it on the workplace page. This recording will be up within the next couple hours. So
Thank
we'll
you
watch
all.
it again. Thank you guys. Have a great week. Have a great day. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.